Welcome to the trenches, where it is all about strength, power, and determination. You cannot hide from the intensity. You join me in the trenches for episode 2 of this series. I do squats and I do deadlifts today. Squats in the 5x5 format and deadlift in multiple accessory movements to build up the most strength and power in the posterior chain of the body. So without further ado, let's get cracking. I'm going to start with squats. Begin with a low weight for warming up for around 10-12 reps, then pyramid up. I'm going to RPE 8 here, so nothing too intense, then get straight into a 5x5 format. This is the first talking to a camera, almost very raw. I find that the voiceover videos that I do, I enjoy them, I like making them, and they're pretty unscripted. However, today I'm going to experiment and do something even more raw. Speak to the camera whilst I'm setting up equipment, whilst I'm exercising, so there won't be too much voiceover. There might be a bit of music to hide the copyright music if I'm using Spotify, but this is going to be quite a raw workout for the squat and deadlift today. I've decided to train squats and deadlifts together today, not just for working legs and the efficiency of getting a full lower body workout, but I've decided that the squat is such an important movement, and so is the deadlift, and I want to create a really strong foundation of both squat and deadlift. At the moment my squat's around 150 for a 1 rep max, and last time I hit it in my first, it was in the trenches video, but all the audio was very juddery, so what I want to do is come back and finish the job. And that went up quite quick, that 150, it was quite comfortable. I haven't hit anything right like that since, and I haven't trained that intense for legs since with that rep range. And deadlifts, I want a 300 kilo deadlift at some point in the future, and I'm sitting at around 112.5 kilo deadlift. That was my last big deadlift, so I'm going to get the bar set up for squats here, and we'll get cracking. My starting weight is always 60 kilos, 1 plate on each side, nice and simple, get nice high reps, get everything warmed up. There's no point starting any lighter than this, or for me anyway, because the more warm-up sets you do, the more wear and tear, the more kind of premature damage you do on your knees and your joints. I always used to go to 40, then to 60, but the extra 20 reps, the extra 15 reps in between this warm-up set, which is relatively light, as I say, it just puts too much wear and tear on the joints before you can actually put actual maximal effort into heavier weights. And in addition to the light weight, I always like to start my warm-ups with a belt. Many people disagree with this, however it just feels right for me. It feels right to have that support right from the beginning, and even with a 100 kilo deadlift, I will still always marry up with the belt, as I just like that support. I like to feel tight in the lift. I never like to have any part of the body where it doesn't feel part of the lift. It's like with a very heavy deadlift or a very heavy squat, I like to take my shoes off so I can grip to the floor. It just allows everything to be connected and have a purpose. So I just think that the lower back is still being worked here. I've just got to make sure it's protected, brace the core, and make sure everything is aligned and stable. But that's just a personal preference for me. Some people don't even use a belt at all and only get up to their max lift, then put a belt on. As I say, it's just personal preference. Let's get on with the squat.
2 days ago, that was when I last hit deadlifts. So I'm definitely feeling the back and the legs now. However, you've got to train with different volumes, hit the body hard. Obviously recovery is good, and this is very controversial, but I find that I usually am primed for heavy lifting once I've already had a heavy day, a heavy workout not long before. But it's feeling a little harder today, definitely from the fatigue, so I'm not as primed. But we're going to get 100 on and we'll just keep working up to that 5x5. I'm going straight into 5x5, conserve the energy, then be able to put it into that strength building sets and have enough petrol in the tank for the deadlifts. Set number 2. I'm now at 110 kilo, nothing spectacular. I was hoping to get 125 for this 5x5 today. However, it's definitely set me back doing deadlifts 2 days ago. Silly mistake, however, I sometimes do have a great workout not long after a big heavy set. Could be psychological or it could just be a coincidence. But the great thing with the 5x5 training workout is that you get good practice and experience in the exercise. Every squat rack's different, every bar's different. And after squatting for months and months in a pure gym with a certain position on the rack, with a certain flex of bar, a certain kind of axle, and how much the bearings spin definitely plays a huge part in the squat. And since going to the new gym, I've found myself a really good bar, a very good rack, and I've settled in very nicely. But I'm trying to get resettled into my home gym, as there's no gnarling on the middle part of the bar, which most bars don't have. However, this is extremely wide, and especially for deadlifts, I'm much wider due to normal bars having much more of a narrower grip, if that makes sense. But no, the 5x5 is amazing for practicing the reps so you get better form over time. But not too much volume that it takes away strength gains, and that's what is important. So up for set number 3. This is going to be the final set now, set number 5. I'm definitely feeling short of breath and short of energy for this. Down to the last 2 days when I did the deadlift, so it serves me right hitting the posterior chain again so quickly. Back in 2019 I would hit deadlifts 3 times a week after work. I had such great endurance back then, but newbie gains is a blessing. So I'll get cracking on this last set of 5 reps. Shouldn't be too bad, and then we'll get cracking with deadlifts. We'll stop messing around and get pulling some serious weight off the floor in different formats. I'm planning to start off with a wide grip deadlift, a wide stance to get the hamstrings and glutes activated, a deficit deadlift again for the legs, some shrugs and maybe some rack pulls at the end going above 200 kilo just to get the nervous system walloped one last time today. Doesn't look like I'll be pulling any personal bests today, but what you got to do, you got to show up and motor on and get the job done. On that last set there, and after watching it back on the footage, I'm stooped over. I definitely feel that I'm too forward heavy, and I think that's a reflection on the fatigue of the lower back. I think the lower back need some extension, some elongation, some time to recover. End of the day, I'm natural, I don't take anything, so I do need a good amount of time to rest. However, we're still not done. We're on to deadlifts, so that's the 5x5 done. Definitely feel a good, healthy pump in the quads. Back is a little bit fatigued, however, we've still got petrol in the tank. The first exercise, or the first variation, will be a much wider stance and a wider grip. So again, it's this play weight of 60 kilos, bumps the bar up to the normal height of lifting, and just enough weight to feel where everything's being activated. I can already tell that the lower back's going to be worked here quite substantially. So I've measured here, so that's 24 inches where the gnarling is. It's like no man's land between the gnarling. So that's the minimum that my hands are going to be. So almost like a sumo, but without the arms going in between the legs. I think this is like the favoured strongman deadlift of like Brian Shaw and Hathor, just because they're great big people. But this is definitely going to work the hamstrings and the glutes here for me. So we'll get set up and we'll start doing a few. Over under seems like the optimal grip here. Double over, and I feel like I'll be scraping my legs too much unnecessarily. First set felt pretty optimal, a good weight to be honest, 120 kilo, and potentially perhaps the grip was a little too wide. Widening your grip isn't really going to alter much. A wider grip might work more of your traps, upper back and rear deltoids, but it's mostly the stance. A narrower grip, a narrower stance I must say, will definitely work your quadriceps a little more, whereas a wider stance like a sumo squat or a sumo deadlift, there'll be more activation on the hamstrings and glutes. So I think just for the safety of the grip, as with the Zercher squat on one of my previous videos, which has actually hit 1,000 views, so thank you for that, I am going to take it safe, strap up so my arms aren't under too much strain, so I don't pull any more of the bicep. So I've got these brand new Cerberus figure of 8 straps, brand new. I tried these on deadlifts 2 days ago, very, very solid strap. Very solid, almost too good. That last set was RPE 9.9. At the end there, I thought one more rep to get the, I think the 7th rep. And standing up, I stood up very hard. But no, that was very close to losing blood in the mind. But no, that was very good. Felt very lightheaded, but definitely worked the definitely worked the hamstrings and the glutes there. So I've definitely sizzled that workout, that exercise. So now it's time for the deficit deadlift. I'm going to stand on two 25 kilo plates here to give me about 4 or 5 inches platform, and also give more stretch and emphasis on the quads and hamstrings. Deadlift exercise number 2 is the deficit deadlift. And I've got two 25 kilo plates here stacked on top of each other, which is 4 inches off the floor plus the platform of my shoe, so call it 4.5 inches to be pedantic. And this will give extreme emphasis on the legs as well as a good stretch in the lower back. Many people will go off one plate, and I think that's definitely plenty, but to get extra stretch, definitely 2 plates is optimal. I'm going to continue to use the figure of 8 straps for a good grip, and I'll see how 140 moves. Again, I'm quite fatigued today. In a normal conventional figuration off the floor when I'm fresh, 140 moves pretty nicely, pretty healthily. So I'll see how it moves today off this platform and see if I need to strip the weight or add any more up. So without further ado, let's move some iron. That's deadlifts out of the way now. I'm now going on to a rack pull, which will work similar muscles to a deadlift. However, there'll be a lot more nervous system activation, upper trap, mid back, and then also the glutes as well. So I'm going to get the safety squat bars up to around 18-20 inches off the floor and try and pull some decent numbers tonight. The reasoning behind this exercise is to allow the human body to lift as much mass as possible in the deadlift configuration. You could argue and say just do lots of deadlifts and get stronger. However, this targets the upper part of the deadlift. Fair enough, the lockout usually is one of the easiest parts of a deadlift. However, this forces the nervous system, it forces the body to handle as much weight in its best capacity. So if your standard deadlift is 200 kilo and you can rack pull 250 kilo, it then forces the body to adapt and be able to handle 250 kilo at some part of the deadlift rep range. And I've always kind of handled these before doing deadlifts, so I'll start training back or legs, go straight to the rack pull, 18-inch deadlift, and then go straight to deadlifts. And I've been amazed by how amazingly quick the deadlifts go up and how light they feel, particularly around the 140 range, where I could get probably 140 for 8 to 10 reps off the floor. However, after doing this, it was definitely 12 reps. It was just a lot nicer because the nervous system is primed, everything's activated, and I just find it's a great exercise for building up the back as well for hypertrophy. Go for higher reps for hypertrophy and muscle growth, or stick to that below 5 reps for maximal strength. So that's an extra 25 kilo on there, so a total of 190 kilo. Definitely feeling a lot heavier today than in the past, so I'll see how much more I can go. The heaviest I've done is 270 kilo for 2 reps, but today I think 220 is going to be quite a hard pull, so we'll see. So that was a pretty clean attempt of a 220, but the second rep definitely wasn't going up at that time. Definitely time to call it a day for the workout. Definitely so much more I could have done. However, I've learnt a valuable lesson. Give yourself plenty of time to recuperate. You're natural. You will not recover as quick as people on performance enhancements. So remember, like, subscribe, and join me in the next video where I'll have fully recuperated for a good, healthy, in the trenches workout.